Good morning, everybody. Wonderful to see you. My name is Tim Bewes. I teach in the English department at Brown, and I'm really delighted to welcome you all to Political Concepts, the Literature Edition. A special welcome to our 14 speakers, most of whom are visiting Brown from outside, but also to those of you in the audience attending at this brutally, but not as brutally as it was, time in the morning. This is the 9th or 10th Political Concepts Conference I've been involved in at Brown under the always kind guiding hand of our real host for this conference, as for all Political Concepts conferences, Ophir, who holds the title of Visiting Professor of the Humanities and Middle East Studies at Brown. As many people here will know, there is not always or even usually a theme to Political Concepts conferences. But in recent years, we have had editions devoted to topics such as Balibar, science, Trump, retouch. The idea for a literature edition came about initially as a sort of exasperated joke that there might have been an F word in there from me to Addy after I read the introduction to his latest book, In the Beginning Was the State, in manuscript. The book was published just this last fall. In the Beginning Was the State is predicated on the fundamental insight that the theological concepts of the Pentateuch, including the law, catastrophe, and divine violence, the central concept of Addy's book, are also political concepts, and that the Old Testament God is, certainly in those first 5 books, a political figure. Thus, the Hebrew Bible is itself a work of political theory. But as I read Addy's introduction, I realized that these very insights of Addy's book could not possibly have come into being were Addy not also a reader of literature, and more particularly, a literary reader. That the very insistence on understanding theological concepts as political concepts was itself a deeply literary insight, an insight predicated not only on the utility of concepts, but on their materiality and their historicity. The more I thought about it, I felt that the entire Political Concepts project that Addy has brought to us, initially to 4 universities in New York City, NYU, Columbia, the New School, CUNY, and then in recent years to Brown, is formed as much by a literary as a political understanding of concepts. This is evident in one of the founding statements of the journal, Political Concepts. Political Concepts does not predetermine what does or does not count as a political concept, a literary proposition if ever I heard one. Indeed, over the years, I've often noticed when listening to a political concepts talk that the concept that one thinks one is hearing about, the cinematic, say, or reclamation, is hiding or obscuring another hidden concept, which may be the one, the more intuitively political one, indexicality, say, or nature. This conference is taking place in the midst of a national conversation about the worth of an undergraduate English degree. This is mysterious to me, since those of us who work in literary studies have always known that literature is the place where real thinking happens in the university. For literature is able to think both the utility of a concept and its limitations, and to do so in the same moment. If other forms of writing, other disciplines are able to do that, which of course they are, it is because their adherents and practitioners, too, are readers of literature. All of which made me think it was about time we had a literature edition of Political Concepts, where literature, too, could give voice to the singularity of its relation to the conceptual. Addy, who is indeed a huge reader of literature, who gives me more books than almost anyone I know, leapt at the idea and generously invited me to organize it. And the word generously there is not hiding any other concept whatsoever. This, I must emphasize, is not a literary studies conference. We all know that literary criticism has an uncomplicated relationship to concepts. For example, narrative, realism, allegory, metaphor, stream of consciousness, sentence, meaning, form, content, all ways in which the complexity of literary works is made consistent and graspable. The relation of literature to concepts, however, is another matter altogether. We do not know how our speakers stand in relation to these questions. We didn't ask them. We said only that we wanted to explore the political from perspectives offered by literature, its theories and imagination, and or to look at literature as an arena of political struggle. Finally, I have to then thank our speakers for responding so enthusiastically and warmly to our invitations, especially though not only those who have travelled to be here. Thanks very much to the Cogut Institute for unstinting and extraordinary levels of support, to Amanda Anderson, the Cogut's director, to Damien Maillet, associate director, and to Gregory Kimbrell, Rachel Ulm, and Ben Safran for their behind-the-scenes organisation. Thanks to Sharon Krause, our compadre here at Brown, and thanks finally to our colleagues on the Political Concepts editorial board for supporting this proposition, and those of them who are able for joining us in Providence for these 2 days.